beware the Gorn.
Beware my wig. So, from Diamond Select Toys, we are going to be reviewing the new 1701 2-packs. When I say 1701, what does 1701 mean? What comes to mind when you hear 1701?
The number on the Enterprise.
Call number, the registry number of the Enterprise, 1701. Now, back in 1996, let me take you back in time for a little bit. Back in 1996, do you remember what happened back in 1996?
Some toys were released, right?
Some toys were released. Okay, we had the Playmates, the Star Trek Playmates 1701 debacle. And this is where a lot of fans got really mad because they couldn't get all their figures that they wanted. Playmates did a limited number of Star Trek figures. They only made 1,701 figures of a Tapestry Picard, of a Tasha Yar from yesterday's Enterprise, and then a Barclay, which they eventually made 3,000 of him. 3,000 Barclays. Let me show you. So, originally, hold on one second here. This is one of the limited edition Barclay figures on card. He's one of the few rare and valuable figures from the Playmates, Star Trek Playmates line. And again, it says limited, 3,000, only 3,000 in the whole world made. There you go. And on the back, we'll see here, this is the Tapestry Picard that I mentioned before. They only made 1701 of him. And there's a Tasha Yar from yesterday's Enterprise. They only made 1701 of her. So basically, this was just a gimmick, and it pretty much spelled the beginning of the end for the Playmate Star Trek line, because fans were in an uproar because they could not find these figures anywhere. And these fans wanted to complete their collection. People were like, well, if I can't collect them all, then I'm going to just be done.
Just scrap the whole collection.
Exactly. Pointless, because a lot of people are completionists, you know. They get obsessed with getting them all. I know I am. So to appease the fans, Playmates scrambled and released this, which was a special box set
the 3-pack
that included all 3 of the figures that were so limited and hard to find individually. They're like, okay, if we make this, maybe it'll appease the fans, maybe it'll save the line. Well, it really didn't work. I mean, people were able to get this, but it angered other people too, because the ones that had the valuable ones in the card kind of devalues them because, well, now they're not rare because they're here.
Now, was this limited at all?
This was nowhere near as limited as the single card ones. I mean, again, they had the numbers here, like Playmates number everything, but as you can see, the production number is way higher on those. So you could tell the difference from an original loose Tapestry Picard because he actually had a hand-painted star on his Starfleet insignia there, whereas this one just has the blank one. So this tried to appease, and this was a big thing. I mean, Playmates in the early to mid '90s, they ruled the toy industry. I mean, they were on top.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This.
Yeah, Star Trek ruled. I mean, that was when Star Wars was kind of dormant. You know, back before '95, before they had the revamp, and before the special edition movies were back in theaters and everything. So, Playmates, Star Trek, top of the world. And this was a big deal, 1701. So now, fast forward to 10 years later, or fast forward to, 14 years later? 14 years later, 2010. Here we go. Diamond Select Toys, again, they're repeating what Playmates did. Limited edition to 1701. Except the big difference is here, nobody really cares. I mean,
well, yeah, it's kind of past its point right now. Yeah. It's like Star Trek, the original series, isn't just not that hot of an item right now.
I mean, your hardcore fan base is still going to want these and still going to be interested in them. And, I mean, these are beautiful figures, of course. The sculpting's far superior than what we had back in the 90s. But it's just so funny how 14 years later, what a difference it has been made in the time as far as popularity goes. I mean, I still love Star Trek. There's still a lot of hardcore fans.
These are great figures too. I mean, the scale is great, as you said, the articulation, the detail, the sculpting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, these are definitely some cool figures.
So basically, what we have here, this is a repaint of a Kirk, and we've seen Diamond Select reuse this Kirk many times. Here's one incarnation of it. This one was available on a single card about 2 years ago. So this one has a darker shirt. He's got more dirt because he's been battling the Gorn. You know, he's got some more hair wisps there.
Some stray hair is kind of painted onto his forehead. There, I see.
Yeah, and they painted some dirt on there too. He comes with his standard phaser and communicator. The translator's in there as well. And then we have the Gorn. You kind of see some difference there in the paint scheme on the Gorn. Again, it's the same mold as before.
Yeah, pretty much.
But, you know, little bit darker on the skin tone on the new release of the Gorn. I think
and
the paint's
his tunic is a little brighter on this one.
Yeah,
here.
tunic's brighter on the old one, a little more dull. This looks more like a shimmery gold, whereas this looks almost like
it's kind of flat.
A flat gold, not as shiny. So, one thing on this 2-pack that I wish they would have put in was, do you remember the episode of Reno where he's fighting the Gorn? Do you remember anything about it? Do you remember when Kirk made that makeshift cannon? Okay. Remember he took like a tube, like of a log of a tree.
He went all MacGyver on
Yeah, he started going MacGyver. And so he stuffed some like diamonds in there and found some explosive like gunpowder that he made, and he basically made like a handmade cannon to try to blow up the Gorn because they're fighting each other. That's the point.
You want that contraption in there.
I would have liked to have a little cannon, not necessarily one that shoots.
No, we don't want anything. No projectors, please.
I've had enough of those for a while. But you know, it would have been cool to have that. And did you know that actually Mythbusters? You ever watch that show?
I have before. Yeah.
They actually did an episode on that where they tried to make that cannon that Captain Kirk made. It was a really cool episode. I actually enjoyed it. But yeah, if he just came with that cannon, this would have been perfect. Like they did with the other ones, as we'll see in a little bit, they get more detail with the accessories. But if he would have had that firing cannon, it would have been perfect. So that's the first one, okay? And that's okay. I mean, again, these are two figures we've pretty much seen before. The only difference is this one's more, dirty, okay, on the paint app. Then we're moving up. It gets a little bit better. On the second one here, we've got Kirk as a Romulan, which Dino Select has never made a Kirk as a Romulan figure before. This is the first time we see this.
First time I'm seeing this.
And then we have a Spock, and he's a redo of the standard Spock that started in 2003 with Art Asylum, except this one's got a little bit different. Check out his eyebrow there.
Oh, he's got the little raised eyebrow.
Yeah, he's got the raised eyebrow. So he's got a different head sculpt, or a modified head sculpt. So here's the original Spock from 2003 when Art Asylum was releasing it. So you see the lighter blue shirt there. Yeah. A little bit different. The head is obviously different.
It's like a lighter, baby powder blue, and that's just kind of a darker blue.
It's more of a darker one.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, now this body here that's utilized
I was wondering, it looks kind of familiar.
Looks familiar.
Does it look familiar to you from a previous episode? Wait a second.
One of our past episodes, exactly, where we reviewed the Romulan here. Look at that. It's the same exact body.
Well, now.
Yep.
Look at that.
Same exact body, same Romulan disruptor there. But we have
an evil Kirk head, yes.
A Kirk as a Romulan head. Because he had to go undercover as a Romulan to try to steal that cloaking device, if you remember.
Okay.
So that's that. Okay, so we're getting better. The Kirk as a Romulan, that's cool. Okay, the same body.
It's original.
Yeah.
Something we haven't seen yet.
But this is my favorite, and this is the one that's selling out more than the other. Out of all the three of them, this is the one that's selling out.
This is going back.
Now, I love this because here we go. I'd love to have the whole crew in these uniforms from the pilot
first episode. Yeah.
Now, this is actually from the second pilot episode of the classic Star Trek series. They actually made two pilots.
Right. The first one had Jeffrey Hunter.
The first one with Captain Pike, starring Jeffrey Hunter as Captain Pike, and the only character that remained in the series was Spock. He was in the very first pilot and the second pilot, and then throughout the rest of the series and movies, as we know. But this reflects William Shatner's pilot, which was called Where No Man Has Gone Before. So it's the first time we see William Shatner as Captain Kirk, and Spock is not in his blue uniform.
No.
He had a blue shirt on for the first pilot, but they put him in yellow for the second pilot, and then once the series started, they put him back in blue, but they had a uniform design change. Now, this was released in a Toys R Us wave early on, and this is actually Spock from The Cage. Now you can see the difference there. This shirt actually looks like the same mold they used for the Captain Pike that came with the exclusive captain's chair that was in a box set. So they use this, and it's actually different. You can see the collar there is
the collar's like raised.
The collar's raised.
Big time.
It's more of a tube-shaped collar.
Yeah.
And also, his Starfleet insignia there is also raised, whereas that is painted.
Yeah, that's just painted on. This actually raised and embossed on there.
Yep, painted on there. Again, arms, legs, probably the same mold. Head is probably the same. It looks like the same head sculpt to me from here.
It is.
Different paint application. I'm thinking this might be a different head sculpt on Kirk, though. If you look at his face compared to this one,
maybe the way the hair is. Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's definitely a little wave to his hair.
Yeah, it's sculpted on
this
there.
one.
And I think the face is a little different. I think that one looks more like Shatner than this one. I think they've improved the likeness on him.
I think so.
And Shatner's always been a hard face to capture. As far as likeness-wise in action figures. They can never quite get it right. But anyway, that's my favorite one. But specifically, what I like about this, and what this figure did not include when he came on the single card. He should have come with these weapons, because before they were called phasers, in the first 2 episodes, the first 2 pilots, they were actually
these
called
crazy guns. Yeah,
they were actually called laser pistols, and that's what you have here. And remember, you would twist the front of it like a kind of like a pepper shaker. You want ground pepper, fresh ground pepper, and you twist it to change the settings. And the communicators, which I love, the black base. It was just a clear base. You could see all the wires.
It's just the transparent plastic they use for those.
So the details on these are amazing. The fact that they actually include the accurate accessories, fans are gonna love it. I love that they're like, wait a minute, we got to make special phasers and communicators for these guys. Which,
gotta be true to that episode.
Right.
Now, where does one find these?
Okay, well, these can be found online. You could also get them directly at DiamondSelectToys.com. They're your favorite online retailer. I think EntertainmentEarth.com had them as well. Go into your local comic store, go through Diamond Select, get a previews catalog, and say, can you guys get these in for me? You're not going to really find these at retail stores anymore. Toys R Us stopped carrying the Diamond Select Star Trek figures, so you're not going to find these guys at retail.
You'll find the older ones, but that's it.
You'll find the older ones hanging
like
on. Yeah, you'll find the older ones hanging on the pegs if they're still around, maybe marked down. But as far as these new ones go, not going to be at your normal retailer. So check them out. Retail price on these ranges from $25.99 to $29.99 for each 2-pack. So I guess in the $30 range is about a safe bet. But this one's been selling out. Like a lot of the online retailers I've seen, I'm glad I got this one when I did. I actually like ordering my stuff from Rick at NewForceComics.com. He's really good. He runs a good business and always had great luck with him and good prices too on his stuff. You could also try Big Bad Toy Store too. They might have some in. But anyway, this is my favorite out of the 3. I think this is the fan favorite, and I'm just really happy with these 2 packs, and especially this one. The fact that it's in their pilot uniforms. He's got a different head sculpt, and they've got the accurate accessories. I'm pleased with it.
Yeah, attention to detail. It makes the toys.
Yeah,
most definitely.
And the fans and collectors notice it for sure. So in closing, what do we got to say?
Live long and prosper.
I'm hot. This is an intro for Star Trek. It's like a sauna.
It's freezing outside though, but
this is the Star Trek intro.
Cue up Star Trek intro. It's so warm. Oh my god, it's kind of toasty.
Star Trek intro goes here.
Blink, blink.
Fascinating.